Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. I hope everyone's having a good Monday. They made it. We made it through another weekend, but now we got a long ways to go for another one. I don't know. I'm excited.
I thought the week was the thing you made it through to get to the weekend. I didn't think the weekend was the thing to get through.
Ah, well, we did it. We made it. That's what matters. I work a weird schedule. I've talked about it a bunch on the show, but I actually worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I made it through the weekend.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'm not the only person that works through the weekend either. I'm sure there's other people. I don't know.
Yeah,
who knows?
Probably.
We got a great show for you guys tonight. I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy that you're here. If you're watching in the chat, we appreciate you. Drop some things in the chat. We'll get to that in a minute, but
yeah,
I'm happy to have you here. I'm happy to be back. Before we get too far into this, let's start off with some sponsors. Of course, we got TopLobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great head-turning, bright purple Epstein Didn't Kill Himself hoodie that you see me wearing tonight by using the term BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon, subscribe star, or become a member of a member of the YouTube channel by hitting join under all of our videos, where you can get into a private Discord server and get all of Top Lops's new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public at like a 30% discount. Really, really great stuff. If you're buying Top Lopsa gear and you're subscribing to the show, $5 to $10 a month, you're saving money. You're getting free shirts, and you're saving money, and you're supporting us all of us at the same time. So we appreciate you. Go check them out. If you want to join the Patreon or subscribe star, you can do that by putting in either one of those websites.com/breakthecyclejs. That'll get you there. And of course, executive producers on the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at much cheaper and much more efficiently. They help organizations solve unsolvable problems in the technology and HR arenas. They serve clients all over, but also right now, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and their client list is growing. Their team leads by example. Anthem consultants have led their own organizations through demanding periods of change. Now they help clients succeed in the face of technology and personal challenges. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Amy Lepore is a good friend of mine. Her husband is amazing too. Really, really great. And if you're not using them and you own a business, you're missing out. Absolutely. What do you think, Ryan? You think people should go check out Anthem Planning?
They absolutely should.
They absolutely should. I agree. And of course, new executive producers of the show, Colwell Creative Content. They're amazing people, good friends of mine as well. They specialize in SEO to help your site rank well on Google or other search engines, website design, optimized website content writing, optimized blog posts, copywriting, social media content management, newsletter writing and design, ghostwriting and editing services, resume and cover letter writing. And they work with all kinds of clients, including real estate, addiction treatment, mental health, healthcare, banking and payment processing, but not the Federal Reserve. That's what we like to make sure that everyone knows that. And they've worked with
the CIA podcast.
And yeah, they don't work with the CIA podcast either. They've worked with just about every industry, even libertarian political candidates and influencers such as Larry Sharp. If you're a political candidate, hit them up. Let them help you get in front of your target audience. Or if you're just anybody trying to get in front of your target audience, go check them out. They've been in the business. They've been in business since 2012, and they've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients. Guys, we've got a great show for you tonight. Before we get any further, let me introduce and say hello to my well-haired, amazing, beautiful co-host, Mr. Ryan Kurt. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well.
Yeah.
Real quick, can I get some yep cocks in the chat? One of these days, somebody will actually put it in the chat.
Yep, Cox in the chat.
I have succeeded.
He really wants you to drop Yep Cox in the chat. He really wants to see your Yep Cox.
Yeah. I just want to see some cocks, people. Is that so hard?
He would appreciate it very much if he could see the Yep Cox in the chat. We're not streaming to Twitch, so a lot of people are like, Yep Cox, what does that mean? I don't even know. But we do got a great guest for you guys tonight. I'm very excited. I've been friends with this guy for a few years now. I've seen him probably in every state I've ever been to. He's been all over the place. He's now, last time I got to see him, I was eating chili dogs with him at Pork Fest a few months ago. But now he's an announced and filed candidate for governor of the smallest state in the country, I think, Rhode Island. His name is Mr. Elijah Gizzarelli. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me. Not only am I announced and filed, I am on the ballot and will appear in the first debate.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm excited for you. I've been to Rhode Island. In fact, I was going to the Connecticut State Convention in 2018, which happened to be at some like roadside fucking bar. But I was like, it's cool. I'm gonna fly into Rhode Island and then drive there because it's all like one place really. I mean, you can make it through all these states in like I don't know, a couple hours. And so I flew into Rhode Island and I hung out with the Rhode Island Libertarians for the night in the State Hotel in Providence. And they took me to some bar in downtown Providence, and I had Stuffies, which I had no idea existed.
Nice.
It was the greatest thing ever invented.
What are Stuffies?
So it's like the big quahog clams, and they like open them up and like grind them up and mix them with like sausage and I don't know, onions and all kinds of shit. And then they put them back in the shell and cover it with cheese and then bake them and they put hot sauce and lemon on them. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
My first job was at a fish market. Okay. Ocean Pride Seafood at Wood Ave, Cranston. Okay.
It was good.
And
it was good, dude.
Dude, we used to make Stuffies. And in order to make Stuffies, right, the clamshells, they come out of the dirt like gross.
Right. Oh,
so you have to clean them, right? You have to clean the crap out of them. And the people I worked for insisted that you couldn't use a brush or a sprayer to clean off the shells. You had to rub them with the palm of your hand. They just insisted that was the only way to get them really clean. And so, like, I spent like my 15 years old. I'd just be sitting there with a barrel of shells, just scrubbing my hands raw against the backs of these shells so that we could make Stuffies.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't know anything about Providence or Rhode Island for that matter. It was like one of the few states I had never been to. And the only thing I knew about Rhode Island was that movie, Providence, that the Farrelly brothers made when I was a kid. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, Outside Providence?
Outside Providence, yeah. That was all I knew.
The father calls the son dildo all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I knew about Rhode Island. And I just remember thinking, man, Rhode Island's rough, dude. That's a rough place. And then I go there and I'm like, wow, you can really, first of all, you can almost just like walk through the state in a day. It's so small. And there's and what's the population there? Like a 780,000 people population for the state?
No. We're like 1.4 million, I think.
For the whole state.
Yeah. We're are you just talking about Providence?
No, I'm talking about the whole state.
No. Yeah, the whole state's like 1.4 million. We're the fifth least populated state. So it's six. We outpopulate 5 other states.
I'm guessing
Wyoming.
The Dakotas, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Wyoming is
Dakotas.
Like 80-something% federal land.
Yes.
It's insane.
We drove when we went to the national convention in Reno, we drove out there. Mm-hmm. And we went through some of Wyoming, but we were like sleeping throughout the day pretty much. Mm-hmm. So we missed a lot of Wyoming. On the way back, we went to Yellowstone. We came out of Spokane, Washington. We went up to see my mom in Portland and came out through Spokane. And so we came through like really rural Wyoming, and there was like nothing.
Yeah.
Fucking nothing for hours and hours and hours. There was nothing. I was like, holy shit, dude. But anyways, Elijah, tell us, man, why do you want to be the governor of Rhode Island?
Well, I mean, mostly because I just know I'll do a better job than anybody that we would likely be able to get if I didn't run, right? Rhode Island's been run into the ground for a long time now. And we actually have a really cool history. It's actually a very libertarian history here in Rhode Island, believe it or not.
A lot of places in New England are like that too. Right?
Yeah, but Rhode Island particularly, it's a really, like, we're the first state to declare independence. We did so 2 months before any other state. We did it by ourselves. We were like, we don't care what you guys do. We're just independent now, right? Like, on top of our state house, which is gorgeous, by the way, we have a statue called the Independent Man, and it's like a dude that's like half naked with like a spear and like an anchor. It's pretty badass. And Rhode Island actually functioned as an anarchy for about, I think it was 2 years. And so basically they just had a meeting every fortnight here in Providence. And that was it. It was an optional meeting, and they would just get together and talk like an agora and just be like, hey, I'm going to try to build a road over here. You guys want to help? And then do it. And they only actually got a charter as a colony from England after Massachusetts threatened to invade. And so they got a charter from England to protect themselves.
Oh, wow, dude. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about Rhode Island. It is tiny, but
like that's like that's a great like real world example of anarchy. And then also like one of the primary arguments against it is how would you defend yourself?
Right.
And then it's like, well, I guess we go to Daddy England.
Well, they got a charter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a situation like like unfortunately we couldn't get Massachusetts. Like we were just heavily outnumbered. In fact, the people who founded Rhode Island there was actually two different communities. They had been kicked out of Boston, and that's who founded. So
you know what?
They
kind of
looked
out
at
of
it as
Boston
outlaws.
is impressive.
Yeah. You gotta be pretty damn badass to be like get booted from Boston. Like
yeah, you have to be a Catholic priest and a woman who taught men about the Bible.
it's wild, dude. Absolutely wild, man.
Yeah, you gotta be pretty badass.
So like I said, I've been to Rhode Island now, but I only got to spend one night there. But I do know quite a bit about Rhode Island now politically because I had no idea. I mean, you think of New England, and a lot of New England is just very socialist at this point. I mean, you got Massachusetts. Nobody wants. Most of the people in New England think Massachusetts is too far left. Okay, so that's saying a lot. You got places
Most of the
like
people in Massachusetts think that.
yeah. Well, and you got people. You got New Hampshire there, which is the free state. It's they've already infiltrated the state legislature quite a bit there. They have Pork Fest there every year. It's growing. It's a huge growing movement. New Hampshire gets more free every year. And truly, I mean, it's one of the places where I think candidates like Elijah and Jeremy Kauffman, for that matter, could win. You know what I mean? Like, I really do believe that can happen in New Hampshire, and they're doing a wonderful job for what they want to do there. And let's see, what else is in New England? Connecticut? I don't know much about Connecticut, but I know that it's very expensive.
It's a terrible place.
Yeah, and pretty socialist as well. So it's kind of a weird mix, and it's so funny because it's like this is where the founding of America, like the New England, like that was like the original colonies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is where a lot of the people that founded this country came from, and to know that, it's kind of gone so far the other way is really, really weird. So, I mean, what do you think it was that made Rhode Island kind of become this very far left leaning state, Elijah?
I mean, so I'm going to get a little conspiratorial right now.
Nice.
It was the sinking of the Titanic.
Wait, what?
Actually, that's actually a pretty cool conspiracy theory to look up. I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Wait, what?
All right, I'll talk about it. Fine. All right. No, it's a serious theory. I haven't done too much research into it. But so the idea was that I said this as a joke and now I'm going into it. Anyway,
Gotta do it, dude.
So basically the idea was that there were people on the Titanic that were planning on coming to New England from the Titanic and creating a megacity between Worcester, which is in central Mass,
Right.
and Providence, right? And so this was going to be like the new economic power. They were like really rich people that were on the Titanic's maiden voyage, right? Now, interests from Boston and New York got together and were like, nah, we don't want that to happen. So they sank the Titanic. That's the conspiracy theory. I'm not
planted
saying
the
I believe
iceberg.
that actually happened.
Dang it.
I just, huh?
Well, there's
Now, so the Titanic is something that I had never like questioned, and now that it's just brought up, it's like
he's gonna be
most
looking
of
into it.
everything I was taught growing up was wrong in some manner.
Yeah.
So, what is it with the Titanic?
Well, and a lot of the things you're learning today are wrong in some manner too. I mean, that's just how. That's
Yeah.
welcome to life, dude. The government and the corporate news media—they're not going to tell you the shit you want to know. I got in some hot water over the weekend myself personally.
Okay.
I made a post on Twitter that went absolutely fucking viral.
Oh yeah, you did.
1.5 million impressions, over 90,000 engagement on a tweet that literally said, "If World War III pops off, everyone with a Ukrainian flag should be drafted."
Like in their bio or in their name.
And Elijah, you know me personally. It was pretty much a joke. I do believe that the people that are pushing for war should be the people that have to fight the war, and they should have to crowdfund to fight for that war.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was like a half a joke, right? Like, I don't believe in the draft. I think the draft is fucking bullshit. And I came to libertarian thought through the military. You know, everybody knows I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was a big part of the shock and awe campaign, and I'm pretty anti our mission overseas. I think that we're a colonizing imperialist country. We haven't been the good guys for a long time overseas, whether you want to admit that to yourself or not.
Yeah, I mean, World War I is when that started, so.
Wait,
right.
I'm still trying to catch up with the whole shock and awe campaign. Where you just did they? It's like have you streak through Baghdad?
How old are you, Elijah?
Like,
you were in the military too. How old are you?
I'm 35. I joined the military in 2007 at the age of 20.
So that was a while after shock and awe. So the best way to explain shock and awe was my ship. I was on the USS.
I was just trying to set up a joke.
Oh, do you know what the shock and awe campaign is then?
I do, yeah.
We just dropped 100 million tons of ordnance on Baghdad. I mean, that's what the shock and awe campaign was. It was like 48-hour offensive where we literally just dropped every single bomb we had from our entire battle group, 2 battle groups in the Persian Gulf on Baghdad. And that was really what jaded me on the military industrial complex, because I was like, wow, dude, this is like a fucking city where people live and kids and animals and people go to work and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was rough. And so that really jaded me on the MIC, and that's how I got to becoming a libertarian, was through the anti-war message. So I'm an anti-war guy. I'm an anti-draft guy. I think the draft is conscription is slavery. But if you're going to push for war and you're going to continue to make me fund your war, then you should be drafted. You know what I mean? Absolutely. You should be the one that has to go fight. I shouldn't have to go send my kids and my money to go fight a war that I don't agree with. No one voted on. You know what I mean? And I don't even believe the government or the corporate news media when they're telling me about what's going on. You know what I mean?
We wouldn't.
You can't believe it. You cannot believe it. Like,
officially declared a war ever. We're never going to do that again.
Yeah. So I posted this thing, you know, that everyone with the Ukrainian flag should be drafted if the World War III pops off. As a joke. 1.5 million impressions, dude, from a page, a Twitter page that only had less than 2,000 followers on it. Okay. That's wild, dude. That's a big deal. But there was a lot of people who supported that message, and there was a lot of people who were anti that message.
Oh, yes.
So it was like a fucking mix of craziness. And then, so if you're familiar, Putin did a speech last week, right? And nobody went and listened to the speech, dude. Nobody. Everybody's listening to what CNN and Fox tells them about it. All these high level specialists and are telling you what to think about this speech. Well, I went and read the entire speech, the translated transcript of the entire speech, and it was literally all about, we are not going to cuck ourselves to the West's agenda. It was nothing about colonizing Ukraine. There was nothing about taking over all the states, all the countries that used to be a part of the USSR. It was all about, we are not going to use the dollar for gas. We are not, you know what I mean? Like, it was all, to me, it felt very Libya. It felt very Muammar Gaddafi. You know what I mean? Because they did the same thing with Muammar Gaddafi, dude. It was like Muammar was like, "No, we're not gonna get on the fucking euro dollar or none of this shit. We're not gonna cuck to the Western ways. We're gonna have our own nation state, and that's it." And they were like, "Oh, he's killing and murdering and torturing all his people and this and that. We got to go kill him." And they went and killed him. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, right? Is I think once you know a lot about a subject and you see it reported in the news, then you realize you're like, oh, the news isn't like real at all. Like, I worked for the NSA, and when they were reporting about metadata and stuff, I was like, what? Nothing you've ever heard about metadata is close to accurate. One of my favorite things I hear all the time, especially on Fox News, is when they'll be like talking about Hillary Clinton's emails, which, by the way, like what she did is punishable by death, right? Like, what she did isn't even close to like innocent. Like, it's punishable by death. They usually don't, but still.
But when it's like the Clintons, it's your death, not theirs.
Yeah. So
it's punishable by us killing you.
But one of my favorite things is, like, even Fox News people, they'll be like, how did she was the Secretary of State. How did she not know that C stands for classified? And it's like, It doesn't. It stands for confidential.
Right. Right. Which is different.
It's the most ridiculous thing. Like, and confidential is a classification, right? But like, just the whole like ridiculousness that the news doesn't know anything. Their job is to put on a face for the information that gets pushed to them, right? And some people will say like, oh, I'm a journalist. Like some people at work, they're anchors and stuff. They're journalists. They're allowed to report on anything that they choose, right? Unless it's Epstein. And then what happens?
Or Biden's son, Hunter, or
Biden's son. I'm sorry. There's probably a lot that they're not allowed to, right?
Those are the ones we know about.
They're normal people that believe themselves to be honest journalists, but they were chosen for that position based off of what they already believed.
Sure.
Right. As soon as somebody starts stepping out of line, they replace them. Right. And that's it. Like, and so like, it's like, yeah, like the people that are in the positions, they're not necessarily bad people, probably misguided people. What's happening though, is that they've been chosen based off of their predispositions to fulfill a role.
To
right?
do whatever
and so,
they're told to do and read the teleprompter and.
Yeah. It's if you get somebody who's like, what is it? There's like a famous quote. I forget even who said it, but it was, I forgot who said it and I forget what the quote was.
The quote was
real insight over here on Break the Cycle.
The quote was, don't believe everything you read on the internet. # Abraham Lincoln.
Or Michael Malice's quote of the mainstream media is honest, but they're not truthful.
Right.
No. The quote was, it's impossible to get somebody to understand something where their livelihood depends on them not understanding it.
Right.
Like it's something like that. I forgot what it is.
I feel like that was, wasn't that Michael Malice that said that?
That sounds like a Malice quote.
I thought it was. Maybe
insightful and making fun of journalists. That's like Michael Malice's whole thing.
Right. Yeah. I'm at war with the blue checks too, buddy. I'm not a fan of the journalists, and I'm blocked. I'm probably blocked by a lot of journalists out there. No doubt about it. On Twitter and other places, for sure.
I think there's only one person that I know of that I'm blocked by on Twitter.
I'm blocked by Meghan McCain, so I win.
Yeah, let's be honest, you fucking deserve that.
Yeah, well, no, she deserved it. She deserved it first.
I wish Meghan McCain was somebody I thought actually handled their own Twitter, but she definitely doesn't.
Oh, she does, dude.
You think so?
No doubt about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Outlawed Thoughts, thanks for the
$2. You're proving my point, right? Like, dude, you're so proud that you got blocked by Meghan McCain. You can't imagine somebody other than Meghan McCain hitting the block button.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how it works.
Shout out to Outlawed Thoughts. Thank you, Leighton, for the $2 super chat. He said, let's move Rhode Island to inside Alaska. It might be too cold for you guys. I don't know.
Well, first off, before anybody makes any kind of like ideas like that, you will be losing a system of measurement, right? You'll no longer know how big asteroids are, right? You'll no longer know how big tidal waves are. If you can't say it's the size of Rhode Island, how will you know how big it is?
Yeah, you've now lost an American.
We'll just say
icon.
3 city blocks instead.
Yeah, 3 city blocks. It's 3 city blocks.
Rhode Island is single-handedly staving off the metric system.
What was that laugh, right? Are you okay, buddy?
Yes.
Holy shit, dude. I don't know, man. In some of those little states, I feel bad for them being up there in the Northeast like that, dude. It's just such a tough place. Oh, Maine is also in New England, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There are 6 New England states. You also forgot Vermont.
Oh yeah, that's a small one too, isn't it? Vermont's pretty small.
No, Vermont and New Hampshire are roughly the same size.
Is Delaware? Delaware's not part of New England?
No, they're several states away from anything that would be considered New England.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You'd have to drive through.
They kind of like almost have the accent.
No.
They're close.
In order to get from Delaware, you'd have to drive through New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you maybe it's the Pennsylvania
And
accent I
Maryland,
think they have.
actually.
They probably have the Pennsylvania accent.
Yeah.
That's probably what it's more akin to, I guess.
It's the Northeast is small.
Who has the craziest accent in New England? Is it Rhode Island or is it Massachusetts?
It's very similar.
It has to be Boston specifically, right?
There's a lot of parts of Mass that actually have worse
But it's
accents
just like
than just
the
Boston.
Boston accent,
Yeah,
where it's
that's
like
not. You sounded like you were from Texas trying to do.
I
Boston
can't.
accent.
I can't do a Boston
It's a
accent.
fucking get the fucking cat.
I can't do that.
I can't do it either very well, but I did.
It's kind of weird. Like when I was in the army, I kind of lost my accent.
Yeah.
But like if I like speak really fast or I'm angry, it comes out. I don't know.
Why did I think
weird.
Delaware was so close to New England?
I
I
don't know.
don't know. It's like it's you're from Texas, right? So
No, I'm from California, dude.
you're from California?
Yeah, but I live
thought
in
you,
Iowa
Oh,
now.
you're a Dallas fan though.
I
Right?
am a Cowboys fan. Yeah, big time.
Oh, okay, that's the thing.
Are you?
Alright, yeah.
You're obviously a Patriots fan, right?
No.
No. Holy
I
shit.
know I'm running for governor. I shouldn't have said that.
shouldn't have
I'm
said
a
that.
Patriots fan. I promise. No, I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh God, dude. Get
Oh.
A
out.
diehard Eagles fan.
Stream's over.
I
Stream's
thought
over.
you were a
Undefeated
decent
team in
person.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jalen Hurts is pretty good. I'm not
Um,
gonna lie. He's a fucking.
Yeah.
He's doing
So,
good, dude.
actually, Dallas has been impressive this year.
Well, they sucked the first game with Dak, and then our fucking our backup quarterback has won us games now.
Micah Parsons might just be the best player in the NFL. Let's be honest.
There's no doubt that our defense is
yeah, I
one of
mean,
the best.
look,
defenses
Micah
out there.
Parsons is at like God tier right now,
Yeah.
and I hope he has like knock on wood. After we saw what happened with Tua, I hope he has a long, illustrious career
Well,
because greatness.
It feels like it would take a lot to take him out. I mean, he hurt his back on one of those plays yesterday and came out for one play and went back in. So
I mean, he's just carrying that team, so
Yeah.
I imagine his.
well,
back
that's
is in
not true
constant
either.
pain.
There's a lot of other really good players on that defense, buddy.
Like, let's see,
All right, I
Trayvon
don't know,
Diggs.
Diggs is amazing.
If you guys want to talk football, I'm
Yeah.
all about it.
No,
I
we're
love
good. We're good.
football,
We do
but-
talk football a lot
Yeah.
on the show, dude. It's kind of
Oh, we do.
yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's my podcast.
Ryan, yeah, Ryan does a football. Ryan did
I
a
used
fantasy
to.
football podcast for a long time, and with his brothers, and it's a pretty good podcast. And so me and him talk football a lot, and we ended up talking about it on the show quite a bit. But we don't have to. That's okay. Somebody said to Google when was the last time the Dallas made the playoffs? It was 2 years ago, dude. Come on, it's not that fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. When's the last time we won a game? Was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we lost to the Niners. When was the last time we went to the Super Bowl, I think is what he's trying to ask, would
Was
be the
it-
crazy
Yeah,
thing.
which was
Yeah, that would have been like
26 years ago.
95,
championship
96.
game.
96
Mhm.
96 was the last time we went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's 26 years ago.
Yeah.
When was the
Um,
last time the Vikings went to the Super?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let-
that was
everyone's
like the
gonna let.
70s.
He's a Vikings fan. He's gonna don't hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
And by the way, you guys, if you drop super chats, you can always ask questions on the show as well. And it'll display your name and donation on the screen. But so tell me, what have you been doing up to this point? I mean, what kind of campaign are you running there, buddy?
All right. First off, don't at me. No. Look. So we got on the ballot. All right. So getting on the ballot was like a journey for
Yeah, it was
us.
hard.
So what happened was, we had a week to basically get 1,000 signatures. Right. It was during a heat wave in July. It was pretty rough. We got 1,300 signatures. We needed 1,000. Then they said that not enough of them were valid. Right. Which means like 25% of over 25% they like threw out. So after a month of appeals, we got on the ballot. Like we found enough signatures that were clearly valid. And we actually got on the ballot. I didn't think that they would let us on no matter how good of a case we made. Right. So we lost a whole month of campaign time. And then since then, it's been like crazy catch up. Since then, I started college, like a whole bunch of stuff has gone nuts. Right. But it's been pretty cool. We've seen like a lot of support. I think that my messaging is really on point, and it's really what the state needs right now. I did get to give like a nice little speech downtown with like a bunch of Democrats. I don't think any Republicans showed up, but it was like candidates running for governor or mayor of Providence. got to give like a little speech, and I by far had like the best speech there. Everybody like loved it. It was awesome. And now we've been invited to the debates, which is really, really cool. Well, at least the first debate.
Which is not normal.
No, that is.
Yeah, I did not expect it. I was very, very happy with that. But we got a really good messaging. I'm a pretty decent public speaker. I like to think, at least. I usually get complimented on it. And so we're in a pretty good position right now where the sitting governor was not elected governor. He's the lieutenant governor, because our governor was put into the Biden, Gina Raimondo. She was put in the Biden administration. So
Right.
Our lieutenant governor, who's kind of like, the guy has like no personality, like nobody likes him. Like he really, like he's like a blob of a person, but he's a Democrat, right? So, and Democrats win in Rhode Island, right? So he's going up against this milquetoast Republican, right? And she won her, like he barely won, like he got primaried, right? He won with like 36% in a three-way race, basically. It was like 36, like 32, and like 27 or something. It was like really close. And then the Republican, she won, like she like ran away with it, but she's just like throwing cash everywhere. She has tons of money because her family, like her and her husband, they have a business that had like this really lucrative COVID-19 testing contract in Rhode Island.
Oh, shocking.
Like he's not from Rhode Island. So like the Republican, right? She got a bunch of money from COVID-19 testing sweetheart deal contract with the state of Rhode Island. And now she's running at like against this governor. Like it's ridiculous. Like you couldn't make it up. Like if you had to choose a perfect race to be a three-way race, this would be it. And so basically my idea is, one, the Libertarian Party is not recognized as even a political party in the state of Rhode Island. We just are a PAC, just a normal PAC. And so we need 5% of the vote in either a presidential or a gubernatorial election in order to be recognized. So 5%, though, is really what I see as the floor for this campaign.
What is that like? Really, in Rhode Island, that's just like what, 300-400 people, right?
Yeah, it's some like basically I got 10 friends, right? And I asked them to get 2 friends each. And I'm pretty sure at that point we've made it, right? No, we need about 18,000 votes would be a safe 5%.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, voter turnout here is really, really low for gubernatorial. It's off presidential year, so and everybody expects the Democrat to win no matter what. So voter turnout's really low here.
So are you like actually going after? Are you actually going after people that are registered as Republican? That's what I would be doing if I was a libertarian running in Rhode Island, right? Because you guys do have like really crooked. So there's like a history of crooked Democrats in Rhode Island. I mean, you guys, especially Providence. Well, I mean, you guys have like a really big history of crooked politicians, very crooked, right?
You know, the culture in Rhode Island's like a little bit weird. It's actually it's much more respectable than the rest of New England. Like as far as like leftism goes, it's like a weird version of it. So like I almost feel like you have to make people think that you're in the mob. Right. Like in order to win, right? And because it's like, and it's kind of an anti-government sentiment. It's like, like the mob looks out for like the community.
Right. Yeah, because there's like a lot. I mean, the mob had very big stronghold over Rhode Island for a long time. Maybe they still do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm an Italian, so I'll have to tell you the mob doesn't actually exist.
Right.
Yeah. So, but like the thing is, like, like if you watch The Departed, a lot of that takes place in Providence, right? And that's a historical movie, like, so. Yeah, I mean, what's funny like that is a historical.
Yeah, it's historical. I know, I get it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fucking dude's about to come over to my house and kneecap me in the middle. Did you see that? Maybe he is in the mob, dude. He's like, what the fuck's so funny, huh?
Did you not hear him? The mob doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist, and it's a historical movie.
Okay.
At the same time.
He's like, hey, you want a fucking horse head in your bed, dude? Because I'll drive a horse head over your bed right now. And Elijah gets around, dude. Like, let me tell you.
I do. You're not safe anywhere.
I have hung out with Elijah in Georgia. I've hung out with Elijah in Ohio. I've hung out with Elijah in California, Texas.
We met in Florida. I have hung out with Elijah in probably at least 15 states, minimum. We drove across like 5 states together, didn't we?
Yeah, I drove. Well, no, you drove us from Ohio. No,
I don't even remember where we were.
No, you went to sleep, and I drove us overnight from Ohio to West Virginia to North Carolina.
Yeah,
and then we dropped you off at a bus stop or something in North Carolina, and you took off, and then I drove Adam Kokesh's bus
after you guys dropped me off. By the way,
that's what you told me. We'll have to talk about that story a little bit, but so we dropped you off at the bus stop in like a shitty part of North Carolina, dude. I felt bad.
I think it was Greenville, North Carolina, at the train station. It was bad.
Yes.
I got robbed.
Yes, and then I drove that fucking Adam Kokesh for President train bus thing, RV, from North Carolina back through West Virginia through into Indiana. We did one day at Elf Fest with Marcus, who I love to death. Big fan of Marcus.
Yeah,
but
Marcus is amazing.
We were in like rural Indiana, in the middle of fucking nowhere in the forest, at a place called Lothlorien. And they had this festival. There was like this like little village built out there, and this festival called Elf Fest. All right, and I ate mushroom chocolates.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Did you get naked in the woods with the witches?
I did not get naked, but there was a lot of naked people. They had like this big fucking like metal like open dome thing with a big fire pit in the middle of it, and everyone was playing drum circles and shit. And it was like, dude, they were like straight up fucking anarcho-communists. And we're walking around passing out Adam Kokesh's book, Freedom. That's about liberty shit. That's like taken from like all these other libertarian philosophers. And I'm talking about Adam Kokesh a little bit, who I don't like anymore. I fucking hate the guy now. He can kiss my ass. But only because he talked a bunch of shit about me and said things about my family, so he can go fuck himself.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's a line that nobody should cross.
He was my really good friend. I mean, I thought that Adam and I were really, really good friends. But that's how I knew Elijah, because Elijah was Adam's bus driver, basically, and like road partner. I don't know what else were you. You did all kinds of shit.
I eventually was the campaign manager. I don't know at what point I became that.
After like 4 or 5 of them had just left?
Might have been after. I'm not sure at that point. It's all blurred to me, honestly. I spent a lot of nights in that bus.
Yeah, dude, that bus. It was. I partied on that bus a lot, and so we did Indiana, and then we did Kentucky, and then we went to Nebraska for the Omaha Roads to Freedom Unconvention, which I was the keynote speaker behind Ron Paul at, which blew my mind. That whole trip, I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I have a 45-minute speech behind Ron Paul.
40,
and I had nothing, dude. I was like, I don't know what. I wrote my speech the night before.
That's insane.
And then I gave one of the best speeches I probably ever given.
The last like kind of formal speech I gave, it was my brother's best man speech, and I probably spent 40 hours writing that, and it was just over 5 minutes.
I spent the evening, the night before my speech, writing it, and having some drinks, and then I had somebody. Who helped? Somebody helped me on editing and stuff the next day. During all the speeches going on, and then I closed out the ballroom. I was the last speaker in the ballroom, and then we had dinner with Ron Paul, and that was the end of it. So I was like the last main ballroom speaker, and it was terrifying. I was scared as shit, because now I give speeches all the fucking time. Everywhere I go, like used to it. But this was my first campaign, and it was like in the middle of the first campaign. So I was still like had this like written up, folded up speech in my jacket pockets that I was saying at state conventions, because I had no idea. I'd never given a speech. Now I don't write anything. I just get up and give speeches. But it was terrifying. So anyways, I spent that like 10 days on the bus or something. It was a lot of fun. But I got to hang out with I've hung out with Elijah. God damn, like almost every state, dude.
Yeah, it's we've seen each other in a lot of places. It's funny. Pat Ford, right, is a former chair of the Rhode Island Libertarian Party
And current
right?
region rep on the LNC
Yes,
now.
Region 8. Yeah. So what's funny is like he always comment because we're from Rhode Island. Like Rhode Island's a pretty small place too.
Yeah.
And we see each other outside of Rhode Island more often than we see each other inside of Rhode Island.
And you guys both
It's
live in
pretty
the
funny.
Providence area too, right?
Yeah, but we have to go to Maine or Pennsylvania or, you know, whatever, like Delaware or something to see each other. It's crazy.
It's not the whole state, just the Providence area.
Pretty much.
No.
No. You guys have some like rural area too, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of woods. In fact, that's a point I like to make because Rhode Island is actually tied with New Jersey for the most densely populated state.
Sure.
And if you drive through Rhode Island, most of what you'll see is woods.
Right.
Like it's kind of crazy. This whole narrative that the world's overpopulated, I'm not buying it.
It's the biggest bullshit narrative like ever.
Yeah. If you drive through Rhode Island, like about 55% of what you're going to see is woods.
It's like Connecticut's like that too. Massachusetts too. All New England's like that. There's just woods everywhere.
So
Yeah.
A good friend of mine and I drove down to Virginia, and like half that drive was just woods, and it was like I hated being in Virginia because there were just so many trees everywhere, and I'm so used to just having miles of like open space in my peripheral. It was like I was driving through a tunnel at all times. Iowa.
He's from Iowa, born and raised.
Oh,
But
Iowa.
he's an Iowa corn-fed boy. I'm not. I'm not from Iowa, but I just realized that in March it will be 3 years I've been in Iowa now. So
yeah, and we hung out in Iowa too.
We did hang out in Iowa. In fact, we hung out in Iowa the night
before you moved there.
I know it was the night that I met my fiance, dude.
Oh shit!
That was the night that I met her.
That's crazy.
The night that you and I were hanging out, and Adam was here, and I actually. So I was. It was funny. It's a funny story. I was wearing a suit because I was the keynote speaker at the convention, and then I hosted the presidential debate and moderated it.
And more importantly, you killed the auction, right?
Yes, yes. And then I did an auction, and I even got all the presidential candidates to buy like Iowa like lifetime memberships and fucking. I went off, dude.
You really killed it.
Yeah.
And I want to pull this back a little bit because like you were talking about what kind of campaign I'm running, right? Yeah. And you remember what was his name? Donald Rainwater's speech at the national convention, right? He was like, I wasn't ready thing. And it's like, I was kind of drafted to run for governor of Rhode Island, which I'm pretty happy about, honestly. In hindsight, I was super hesitant to jump in, right? There's like all these reasons why I was like, oh, this isn't the best time. Like, you know, and there's plenty of reasons why it wasn't the best time.
You're always going to find
exactly. Like, and that's the point I want to make is, guys, if you're listening to this podcast right now, like, you should probably run for office, like all of you. Like maybe not like, you know, if like, you know, you're really terrible at public speaking or you have like super phobias or something, don't do it, right? But just the point is just do it. Like we haven't had a libertarian run for governor in Rhode Island since 1976. That's crazy.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
And dude, I'm getting a lot of like just results, just talking to people, even just activating people and getting them more active in libertarian movement in general. That's a huge win. You don't have to win the office to win. And that's why I want to go back to you, Josh. Like Josh, you might be one of the best debaters in the Libertarian Party.
I appreciate that. Dude.
Like you freaking fried JBH in 2020. Like that was like you dominated that stage, right? And dude, you need to run for office. Like,
I know.
Like one of the best things you could do for the libertarian movement is get yourself on a debate stage somewhere. Like,
well, here's the thing. So I was running for office here in Iowa this term, and I was stoked because it's District 44. Okay, there was no Republican running. It's only a Democrat. Basically, he's just going to walk into that position, right? The Democrat is. And there was no libertarian running. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I know I'm a libertarian. I'm a registered libertarian. I'm not super happy with the libertarians nationwide right now for other reasons. But I am happy with the Iowa libertarians. They're really fucking great people. And a lot of libertarians around the country as well. I'm just not happy with what's going on inside our party currently with this fucking rift and shit, right? And even some of my own people have pissed me off recently on my side of that rift. And so that's been rough. But so I was running, and we only need to run for state rep here. You only need 55 signatures or something like that. It's nothing, right? And so I was like, sick, I'm going to do that. And the filing, our state chair here in Iowa, who I just had on the podcast last show, Jules Cutler, amazing. She's a lawyer, and she actually went in and fought the state personally to get our deadline moved back to August. August 18th was the filing deadline for us. Usually we have to file way before the Republicans and Democrats have to file, right? So she went and fought this, got it passed, and I'm like, shit, that gives me more time to get signatures, get my shit filed, since I decided to start running kind of late. So I got my signatures together, started getting signatures, and find out we have to move. And I have no fucking clue where we're moving to or what date we have to move on. So I just stopped because I was like fundraising and shit, and so I just stopped fundraising because I didn't. You have to raise over $1,000 or something to hit a threshold to report anyways here. And I hadn't hit that threshold yet because I wasn't trying that hard yet,
Yeah.
And so
you tweeted twice about it.
Yeah, I tweeted a couple times. Yeah, I tweeted a couple times about it, and I raised a little bit. I raised a little bit of money, and then I had a gentleman who was going to match $500. So I was really trying to raise that $500 so I could get that other $500 and hit my 1,000, start reporting, and then the match backed out on me, unfortunately. So it was good. It was a good thing because at that time when I was supposed to get that match, I found out we were going to have to move. Then we moved August 13th. Yes.
Something like that.
August 13th, because my son was born August 17th. We moved into this house August 13th. My son was born 4 days later. And so we moved right at the filing deadline. Now there is a district requirement. You have to be there for a certain amount of time, 2 months or 60 days or something like that, to get on the ballot as a state rep here. So it was like, I was totally fucked. There was no way I could do it. And of course the losers are like, oh, you couldn't even get 55 signatures and get yourself on the ballot. I'm like, dude, I literally couldn't. There was nothing I could do about it. Now I'm in a district though. Here's the cool thing. I'm in the district with Claire Kelsey now, who I absolutely fucking despise, dude. She's like one of the worst Democrats she's the worst Democrat in Iowa, dude. She's worse than Cindy Asney, who are the only Democratic congressperson we have here. She's bad. She's a gun grabber. She was very, very hard on the COVID shit. She tried to get everybody in West Des Moines to lock down and wear masks and tell them that we need to push to have vaccine mandates and all this shit. I hate her. But now I'm in her district. Okay. But I have to wait another 2 years to run against her. But now I have time to really build a campaign and really figure it out. So I am going to run in 2 years against Claire Kelsey. Should she win in November? I think she will, but should she win in November, I will be running against Claire Kelsey. Now, I want my wonderful, amazing, beautiful anarchist listeners who I love, and I'm an anarchist too at heart. And in fact, you bring up the debate thing, which, by the way, dude, I really love you for saying that. It means a lot to me, truly, because if you were there,
if you
were there in 2018, I was not very good at debating.
I was there in 2018.
And Nicholas Sarwark wiped the fucking floor with me. And now I want that debate back. You know what I mean? Now I would love to have that debate again.
No. That's what fueled the fire for you to become the debater
I watched
that you
that
are
debate
now.
Probably no less than 500 times I've watched that debate. And it made me... like cringe, dude. And now I'm like, oh, dude, I could have done this. I could have said this. And it really did make me better at debate because I lost so badly and so embarrassingly that it was like, oh, don't ever do this again. You need to have your points ready. It made me like debate prep better. And now I'm good at debate. And I actually debated Larkin Rose for 2.5 hours about a year and a half ago.
I want to see that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's on YouTube. I debated Larkin Rose for 2.5 hours, and all of my agorist friends said that I beat him. Okay, and the debate was about political activism and whether it was in line with libertarian
ideals. So you were really debating Konkin.
Yeah, it was like I was debating Konkin, dude. That's exactly what it felt like. And so a lot of even my agorist friends said, dude, you painted him in a corner and he had to backtrack and do all this shit to win. And so it was during Anarcho Poco, not last year but the year before, I think, on the when they did the virtual one. So it's on YouTube if you look it up. I did it on
nice. I'll check it out.
Patrick Smith's channel, Disenthrall or something. So anyways,
I don't like that.
Yeah, I know you guys don't get along. He's a good friend of mine, and Adam used to be a good friend of mine, and he told me a bunch of shit about Adam and that I didn't believe all the way. And then Adam fucking turned on me and did all the shit he said he did, and fucking it was like, okay, well, seems like Adam was wrong, and Patrick might have been right. But anyways, we can talk about that later. It doesn't matter. So
yeah, we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, so we can talk about that in the members only chat tonight. We'll have the members only for a couple minutes. But so where was I going with this about the debate? Anyways, yeah, that's I do appreciate that a lot. But I will run as a candidate. But I want my anarchist friends to know that I am an anarchist at heart. I believe in the ideals of anarchism. But I also see the usefulness in political activism because you have the opportunity to do exactly what Elijah just said that you have the opportunity to do. You have the opportunity to get in the front of these normies' faces and talk about political ideals that are freedom-based and libertarian-based. And it really does, it can make a difference in a normie's thinking. And you probably don't have a better shot at doing that in front of normies than you do with political activism, in my opinion, because they do pay attention to politics. You know what I mean? They do pay attention to their people and their debates and their local. All politics is local, right? So if you're running in a local campaign or even a state campaign, you have the opportunity to really get in front of a lot more people than you would if you put a 5-minute YouTube video for 6 people. You know what I mean? So really, it's a big deal, and I appreciate the people that are willing to do it. You know, even if I'm not a fan of the candidate or whatever, I always appreciate the fact that someone will step up and do those things. But I also think that people need to get their campaigns together before they announce. You know what I mean? Do a campaign plan, get your team together, be ready to raise some fucking money, and be ready to get out and do things, put signs up, talk to people, shake hands, door knock. I mean, this is important shit. If you're not going to do that for a political campaign, then don't run, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
It depends on the situation, right? And you should never be in a situation where you're embarrassing yourself, right? Obviously. But like, it depends, like, so that, like, there's like different ideas, right? So there are some people that say like, oh, like we should try to get a libertarian to run for every single position available, right? And then there are other people that are like, yeah. And then there are other people that are like, oh, we should only like invest in certain winnable races. And I think both arguments are wrong, right? I think what the idea is investment. It's not about who you have running. So if you can get like paper campaigns for every available race, just so people can see libertarian and every single thing, fine, that's great. But you shouldn't be investing any volunteer hours or libertarian donor money into those campaigns if you don't have like an achievable goal. An achievable goal doesn't necessarily have to be winning, right? Like it could be just like, look, we want to get more volunteers, and I'm good at talking to these kinds of people. I think that we can get the gun rights people to start merging in with the party or whatever it is, right? Like you have to have some sort of achievable goal with your campaign, right? And Ron Paul always said it. He's like, look, like the goal of the campaign, like his campaign was an education campaign.
Right.
He educated a lot of motherfuckers, right? Like, am I allowed to say motherfuckers on this podcast?
Bro. Are you kidding me? This is Break the Cycle with Joshua Smith. I curse like a sailor.
Okay.
Although I feel like I haven't
watch your fucking mouth.
I feel like I haven't cursed as much this show as I typically do, though.
No, you haven't.
Yeah. I usually am. I'm usually like an F word every other sentence kind of guy, man. I don't know.
Yeah. But the point is your campaign should have a goal, right? And that's what a campaign is, right? So, and the goal doesn't necessarily have to be winning. Obviously, every campaign should have that in their sights, right? But it's not the only measure of success. And so, I think what the problem with the libertarians is that we invest the wrong way. So, well, instead of just running a paper candidate, like that person will start to try to get volunteers and try to get donors. And it's like, no, dude, don't. Like, unless you got something that you think that you can achieve here, There's no point, right? Do a paper candidacy, get your name on the ballot. So at least when people go to the ballot box, they'll see libertarian and they'll have a chance to check your name off. And then every once in a while, like what was the guy's name? Ricky Harrington?
Ricky Del Harrington in Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah, in Arkansas. Like, they didn't know that was going to be a 2-person race.
No.
Like, he was just running, right? And then the Democrat had to drop out because, he had random personal, like, problems after the deadline to file, right? So that having as many candidates on the ballot will maximize those kinds of opportunities for us, right? And that's when you invest, right? As soon as you see Ricky Harrington's in a 2-way race, boom, you start throwing money at it, right? But libertarians just need to do a better job of taking the opportunities where they present themselves.
I agree. They need to do a better job, and they also need to do a better job with their wallet. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, if you see a candidate that you want to win, you need to help fund that fucking candidate, dude. You know what I mean? Like you can't. It's a sad truth about politics in the United States. You can't win without money. It's very, very hard to do. I mean, somebody did win in New Jersey with very little money recently, which was kind of cool as an independent. But it's not the norm, right? Like, if you want a candidate to win, if you find a candidate that you believe in, if you find a guy, even if it's in a state across the country from you, and you find a guy that's like, yeah, man, I'm going to lower all the taxes here. I'm going to kick these fucking alphabet agencies out of the state, and I'm going to fight for to nullify all federal gun laws, right? Like, which is something, like, if I was to run for state rep, right? Like, what my whole campaign was going to be like, I'm going to hop on board with nullifying all the federal gun laws here in Iowa, right? Which is something that you already see people here pushing for. You know what I mean? Of course, I would want to fight the drug war, but it's not something that I would lead with because Iowans just don't care about it.
And I would hop on the school choice train.
The school choice thing is a big thing here too, but also being against any remnant whatsoever of the COVID regime. I think we need to get rid of them, kick them out. They shouldn't be in Iowa anymore. And so those were things I was going to run on. If you see a guy like that that's running, it doesn't matter if he's in your state. You can kick him 5, 10, 15, 20, $100, whatever it is, whatever you can, because getting that win in one state is going to be like a domino effect across the country. You know what I mean? There's going to be other places that see that.
It's kind of like, there's kind of like this like low self-esteem aspect to the libertarian.
It's a loserish culture that has been bred.
We're the Detroit Lions of political parties.
and
Ouch. It's true though. It's fucking true.
First off,
we need to clip
the Lions
that.
are turning themselves around, okay?
But we're gonna bite some kneecaps off, boys.
The Lions are the number one scoring team in the whole entire NFL right now, and have only won one game this season. That's fucked up.
They're the worst scoring defense in the NFL.
Yes,
they've had a pretty tough opening schedule, to be honest. So
yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So like, here's the thing. It's like, libertarians win all the time. And there's this concept that like, oh, libertarians never win. And even libertarians think that. And it's like, it's not true. First off, we win. Like, the libertarian movement today is humongous compared to what started out as 50 years ago.
Right.
Like, humongous. What was it? In 1967, Rothbard was asked how many libertarians there were in the world. And he said 25.
Yeah.
There's probably 25 million of us today.
Yeah.
That's insane in 50 years. Right? Like that's crazy. And so it's just, we get this like weird idea where it's like, we only measure success as winning the presidency. And it's like, what?
First off, that's just not going to happen.
We haven't overthrown the largest empire the world has ever seen. Guess we're failures. What the hell is going on? Like, we just have to, libertarians need to change the way that they think about things. And it's like, every time you convert a libertarian, that's something that should have never happened, right? With how much money and how much power is just behind the system that's involved. Like, people are being like propagandized and like downright brainwashed from the time they're like 3 years old. At this point, they're going to get universal daycare or whatever, and we're all screwed.
Universal fucking daycare run by the state. Could you imagine, dude? Oh my God.
I mean,
bro, Anyway,
What kids are they gonna have the daycare for? They're like,
Oh, they'll find a way, dude.
yeah, they're trying to get rid of reproduction basically entirely.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, it's really 1984ish, but the point is, it's just like, look, we're winning all the time. Like there are new libertarians popping up daily. That every single one that pops up is a win. This COVID regime that just happened, there are so many people that woke up from that, like a huge amount of people,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
right?
a lot.
And the thing is that the media doesn't show it, and so we don't believe it, but they lie, right? So you have to kind of just understand the fact that we kind of live in a weird vacuum where we don't get the real news. We only see the fake news.
Right.
And so our perception of what's really happening is way off.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You just gotta go and touch grass, right? And
I
and
refuse.
and talk to your neighbors, and you'll see it happening.
What if you're
Don't
allergic
believe-
to grass, dude?
That's fair. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be like
Bigoted
I don't
towards
even know how to
people
turn
that
that
are
into a
allergic
race.
to grass.
What an
Yeah.
what a
yeah,
fucking
what a
ableist,
fucking
dude.
ableist.
ableist. Yeah, I didn't mean to be an ableist. I do apologize. I will self-flatulate.
Well, okay, Elijah, we're getting close to the end of the live stream here. Before I am going to have you give a closing and all that stuff. Before we get there, I want to say to anybody that's hearing this either on the podcast, audio, or on YouTube, or any of the other Odyssey or anything like that, we're doing in-person interviews now, or in-person guests in the studio. We've built a great studio here. And I have an apartment that we're building now too for guests that want to come and stay and be on the show. They have a place to crash. They'll get to have a family cooked, home cooked meal, all that good stuff. So if you know anybody that's within driving distance, because we can't get to flying people out yet,
Yeah.
we don't financially have that in us yet. We could get close with a couple, $300-$400 more a month revenue in the show. We could probably get to a point where we could fly a guest or two out a month, which would be nice. But right now, if you know somebody that's within 3 hours of Des Moines, Iowa, which puts you Kansas City, Minneapolis, Omaha, Nebraska, what other places? There's other ones too. Anyways, there's definitely some place. If you know anybody that you want to see on the show, make sure to hit me up and let me know so that I can try and get a hold of them and see if they will come out and be on the show in the studio. It works really well, so we're excited about doing that stuff. That's it for my interlude there. Elijah, before we get going, give your elevator speech, man. What do you want to see happen in Rhode Island should you become governor?
Look, man, the main thing I'm going to focus on is the drug war, right? So there are some people in the state of Rhode Island, some politicians that have a good idea about bodily autonomy, right? But none of them, doesn't matter whether they're on the left or the right, really take bodily autonomy all the way to its limit. Like nobody actually believes in it, right? And the thing is, whatever you do to your own body is your own business. It should never be illegal, right? You should be the ultimate decision maker over what happens to your body. And right now in the state of Rhode Island, we have prisoners, right, that have never hurt anybody, right? Yet we're holding them behind bars. We're taking them away from their families. We're taking mothers and fathers away from their children. We're taking children away from their mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters. We're taking them out of their jobs, and then we're putting them in a taxpayer-funded facility. Rhode Island pays the fifth most of any state for per inmate per year.
Wow.
Actually, that's actually kind of old information. So that information is based off of $50,000 per inmate per year. I was told today, I haven't verified the information, that ever since COVID, that's gone up to $200,000 per inmate per year. Which is
$50,000 per inmate per year is insane.
Yeah, 200,000.
It's insane.
Wild.
Yeah,
That's a
and-
well-paying
and dude-
full-time job.
Yeah. That's well paying?
and
That's
the
more than
average-
double what I make every year, dog.
The average Rhode Islander
50,000?
makes
No.
$35,000 a year. The average. How is it more expensive to be a prisoner in Rhode Island than to just be a free citizen?
No
it doesn't
shit.
make any sense. That's really crazy.
Especially when
right?
they're just feeding them fucking starch every day. And
Administrators,
Yeah.
that's how.
yeah.
Yeah, and listen, Rhode Islanders are working day and night to keep these people away from their families. the drug war is an economic disaster and a humanitarian crisis, and it needs to be ended now, right now. And so as governor, on day one, any non-violent drug offenders, and when I say non-violent, by the way, I don't mean this stupid legalese thing where it's like they classify non-violent things as violent crimes, like intent to sell, for instance, is considered violence. Um, or having a gun next to a joint is considered a violent crime.
Okay, I do have one question about that. Well, I think I know where you're going with it, but how would you distinguish between people that maybe committed a violent act, but they didn't quite have a great case on them, so they pled down to drug charges in like a plea bargain?
Listen,
how would you distinguish
what you
that?
get convicted of, right? So if you don't get convicted of a violent crime, you shouldn't serve the sentence for a violent crime, right? And it doesn't, if they didn't have a great case on it, then that means that you probably might not have done it. Like,
good point.
on.
I mean, it had, I go back and forth on the death penalty, right? Like I'm like, man, there's some people out there that probably need to be put to death. But at the same time, if one innocent person is put to death, the whole thing is a sham, right? So I get it. I know exactly.
Like
what you mean.
we know
honestly,
with like Al Pacino did all sorts of horrible shit. We know this.
Al Pacino?
Yeah. But
yeah, I watched a lot of his movies. He did a lot of really terrible fucking movies.
Do I have the guy wrong? The mobster?
Yeah, you have Al Pacino as an actor.
Al Pacino's an actor.
So you're,
shit. Al Capone. Okay, Al Capone. Okay. Yeah. Al Capone did all sorts of horrible shit. I imagine Al Pacino
great
has
cigars,
too,
though.
because
really
he's from Hollywood. But Al Capone got indicted on tax charges because they couldn't prove him on all the other stuff. But we know he did all sorts of other horrible shit.
Do we? And here's the thing, right?
We do.
That's an outlier, right?
Yeah. But I am saying that will have happened with like plea bargains on drug charges.
I mean, and that's I'm totally okay with that, honestly. Like, listen, if you cannot prove somebody did something, you are innocent until proven guilty, not assumed guilty.
That's literally the basis of our law in the United States.
It's not okay to sentence somebody to life for tax evasion like Al Capone got, right?
Absolutely.
It's not okay.
Tax evasion is patriotic, by the way.
So there's something I have saved on Facebook Marketplace, and it's a flag and it has Barney the dinosaur on it, and next to it says commit tax fraud.
Yes.
And I'll probably buy that.
Tax fraud is as American as apple pie, buddy.
And by the way, maybe if our law enforcement agents and prosecutors and detectives weren't so focused on the drug war, maybe they would have found evidence of Al Capone murdering people, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is that the drug war being in place, right? It dilutes our entire justice system. It puts police officers in a bad position. Yes. Where, by the way, like I saw a video where a guy was getting stopped by a cop, and he just pulled out a gun and started shooting at the cop because he had weed in the car and he knew he was going to go to prison. Right? We're putting our police officers.
I lost a good friend who was an officer like a year and a half ago, and it was on a drug raid, and he got shot and died. One of the best men I've ever known.
Yeah, and he should have never been there, right? It shouldn't have happened. It's terrible, right? Our police officers deserve our respect to put them on people who are actually harming their communities, not just themselves, right? And we need to treat addiction like it's a health crisis, not a criminal crisis. Sure. And so, as governor, I will be pardoning every truly nonviolent drug offender in the system.
Nice.
And I will send them back home to their families so that they can start working, paying taxes like normal citizens, right? As much as we hate taxes, it's...
Or they could be cool and commit tax fraud.
Patriotic even. American.
Maybe we'll make them tax exempt to make up for the horrible injustice they've had to suffer.
That's a good one, too.
That would be cool.
So, and so that's the main thing I want to focus on. On top of that, the COVID regime needs to go. We're still in a state of emergency here in Rhode Island, which is
Bullshit.
the Democrats literally admitted on the debate stage that it was just a ploy to get federal funding.
Jesus. Oh my God.
They literally talked about it on the debate stage. Like, well, we have to say it's a state of emergency. Otherwise, the funding stops.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
And I would also point out, because this topic's on my mind, is that Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States at the time, said that we invaded Iraq for the oil. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that.
That's not anybody who doesn't know that at this point is not paying very much attention anyways.
Yeah, but the fact that a sitting president said it out loud during a debate is a big deal that nobody seemed to really notice.
Yeah. By the way, we're at the end of this thing, man. But before we do take off, we are going to do a members only stream, so we'll get to go in there and bullshit for 20-30 minutes. But before we go, where can people find you, support you, listen to you, all that good stuff, man?
Definitely. Actually, real quick, guys, hit me up on social media. Follow me on Twitter. I know it's not a super active account. I'm kind of Twitter illiterate. I'm trying. I tweeted something today, I think. At Elijah John. That's ElijahJahjon. Right. And follow me on Facebook, Elijah Gizzarelli for governor. Follow that page. Right. My Republican opponent, she only has 2,500 people following her on Facebook, and she only has 1,500 people following her on Twitter. This could be a huge news story that I have a bigger following than her.
Bigger social media following than the Republican candidate. I like it.
Exactly. Like guys, I have more on my sock account. It's just my sock account. So please, if you're friends with John Paul on Facebook.
Yes, I am. Of course I am.
Go like Elijah Gizzarelli for governor and follow the at Elijah John Twitter page, please. It'll help me out. I'll be able to get a press release, some good coverage on that.
He has less followers than I do, which is kind of a travesty. Yeah, so we need to correct that, everyone.
It's gotta be fixed. You guys
I just went and followed him right now. Y'all better follow suit.
Yeah, and then you can also go to Eli, ELI, the number 4, RI.com. And hit me up with a donation. We spend money way better than Democrats and Republicans. We are able to turn Federal Reserve notes into freedom here at Gizzarelli for governor. So please donate. Check out my website. Roast it on my social media. Tag me. Up my algorithm. Do all that stuff. That will really help out my candidacy. I appreciate you.
Man. Hell yeah. Oh, thanks Level Zero for the $5 super chat. He said, I've met the wonderful TSA agents at Providence Airport. Best of luck in Rhode Island. I have also met the
I give the best massages.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was being face TS there. Huh?
Prostate massages.
Yeah. No, I have flown into Providence, so I get it. What's up, player? Player FTW. I always mess up your name when I want to say it right, but he's been a member for 14 months. He says which means what's up. So 14 months. I love that they just show me when people have been a member of the channel for like months and months, and I love that, dude. It makes me really happy. Thank you guys for always supporting us, man. It makes a big difference for us for sure. Elijah, man, I'm a big fan of yours. You know I love you to death. I hope you do really well, dude. Please give me a couple minutes to close out this thing, and we'll do the members only stream.
Peace.
Man, another great show, dude. It was Elijah. Buttons. I'm pushing all the buttons right now. I'm a big fan of Elijah's, dude. Please go support the guy. Seriously, Rhode Island is a small state, and you can make a big impact there as a candidate, dude. You really can. You know what I mean? If you can make some noise, make some waves. And it's funny because of all the libertarians that I met around the country, that little tiny Rhode Island party, it was like 15 dudes, 20 dudes, right? Man, they made a lot of waves, dude. They fought the subsidizing of the baseball stadium there. They're always on the Capitol steps, rallying against things. I mean, them guys are active, dude, very active. And they've made they've made some waves in Rhode Island, and now they got a governor candidate for the first time in a long time, and he's a candidate that can speak well and goes and does things. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see what's going on. So I hope they do well. And if you guys are listening to this, try and throw a little support at Elijah and help him get at least that 5%, man. Get them recognized as a party in Rhode Island. That's it's when you're trying to lose weight, right? You're dieting and working out and all this shit. Everybody always thinks that like the only goal is your goal weight, right? But that's not the truth. In fact, there's all kinds of victories that are called non-scale victories, right? Like your pants fit better. Your knees feel a little better. It doesn't take you quite as long to get up when you're getting out of bed. Those are called non-scale.
Stop gaining weight. That's the first place to start.
Those are called non-scale victories, right? Like it's a victory that takes place without stepping on the scale. Mm-hmm. And for a third party, those are the victories we're looking for, right? Are those things? It's like we're probably not going to win the governorship, the gubernatorial race in Rhode Island, right? It's probably not going to happen. But our governor candidate can get 5%, and then they have a better chance the next time there's a gubernatorial race, or they have a better chance for state reps, or they have a better chance for winning, county treasurer or whatever. It just makes a big difference for those little small victories. And people don't understand that as well. Look, it's a Democrat-run state. Rhode Island is 100% controlled by the Democrats, okay? So you're not stepping on your Republican friend's toes by throwing a little money at Elijah or voting for Elijah, because the Republicans aren't going to win there. But getting somebody who gets, and I said this when I was going to run in 44, was these people have always voted for Democrats. The Republicans aren't running here. But I get the opportunity to go around and talk about school choice and all this shit without the R next to my name, mm-hmm. right? So I don't have that like stigma that these people hate. As soon as I walk up to the door, I get to give them my literature, say I'm actually not from the Republican Party. Here's what I'm working for, and they'll actually listen a little more than they would if it was Republican. So he has that opportunity to do that in Rhode Island, and even if you're a Republican, it's not going to hurt you any, because the Republicans aren't going to win there. So you have an opportunity to help a guy, get his foot in the door and give a challenge to the Democrats, because we got to challenge the Democrats on every fucking front, dude, at this point. You know what I mean? Any way we can. And there are states where it will behoove you to support a libertarian. So, Ryan, you got anything?
Follow me on Twitter at BulldogGamer28. Somebody was asking how to spell Yep Cox earlier. It's YEPCOCKS. Yep Cox.
Yep Cox.
So
really not that hard to spell.
Yeah.
Retards.
Little hooked on phonics for you here at Break the Cycle.
Fucking A, man. What a cool show. And Elijah's cool, man. I really do love him. And I meant what I said earlier, guys. If you have the opportunity, somebody, or even if you want to come be on the fucking show in the studio with us, absolutely. Let us know, dude. Like come by. We're, if you're 3 hours driving distance, within Des Moines, Iowa, dude, I'd love to have you on the show, sit you on the couch, feed you dinner, let you crash if you need to crash, all that good stuff, man. Yeah. But definitely if you know somebody like a bigger name that you'd like to see on Break the Cycle, let me know so I can try and hit them up and get them on the show, because we want to have more in-person shows. It's fun that way. Yeah. It is fun. And we have the good camera and all the lighting and all that stuff now. So, but anyways, guys, go check out our sponsors, of course, toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great head-turning, bright purple Epstein Didn't Kill Himself hoodie that you see me wearing tonight by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon or Subscribestar by going to patreon.com or subscribestar.com/BreakTheCycleJS. Or you can join you can join our YouTube channel under all of our videos by hitting the join link. That will not only get you into a Discord server where you can get all of Top Lobster's new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public at a 30% discount, but also you get to see all the members only streams, because I stream to all 3 of those platforms now live for the members only stream. So any one of those will get you into that. You get some other perks on Patreon and Subscribestar, but don't expect them right away. It takes a long time for me to get that shit out. But you will get it. You'll get it. There's a hat, there's a shirt and mug tier, there's a mug tier, you can get your name in the credits tier, there's all kinds of cool stuff. So but just don't expect it to come too fast. I promise I'll get to it. And of course, executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today, see what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. They help Organizations solve unsolvable problems in the technology and HR arenas. They serve their clients in New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Illinois, Ohio, and Indiana, and their client list is growing every day. Their team leads by example. Anthem consultants have led their own organizations through demanding periods of change. Now they help clients succeed in the face of technology and personnel challenges. I think I kept, the other day when I was doing this, I think I kept saying personal changes, but I meant personnel changes. I know specifically firsthand that they've worked with a couple people that have reached out to them from this show, and those people are very, very happy with their service. So if you own a business, go check them out, man. They're going to help you out. I promise you, they're going to make you right. They're going to set you right. And of course, new executive producer, I don't know how much longer I'll call them new. Maybe next week we'll stop calling them new. But executive producer of the show, Colwell Creative Content, my good friend Craig and his wife, they're doing wonderful things. They specialize in SEO to help your site rank well on Google or other search engines, website design, optimized website content writing, optimized blog posts, copywriting, social media content management, newsletter writing and design, ghostwriting and editing services, resume and cover letter writing. They work with all kinds of clients, including real estate, addiction treatment, mental health, healthcare, banking and payment processing, not the Fed. And they've worked with just about every industry, even libertarian political candidates and influencers, such as my great friend and really the guy who taught me all about politics, Mr. Larry Sharp. They've been in business since 2012 and worked with hundreds of clients. Definitely check them out. See what they can do for you guys. I promise you it's worth it. What do we got coming up, dude?
I don't know.
You don't even know who's coming on the show. AJ Fisher. We'll have an in-studio show on Thursday. My friend AJ Fisher from the Redacted Caucus, Boog Boy, will be in the studio. He's a really, really cool guy, man. Fun. That's gonna be a fun show. I'm excited for that. If you guys, hopefully we won't go too hard and get kicked off of YouTube on that show, but I'm looking forward to it. Guys, if you want to check out the members only stream with Elijah tonight, where we'll probably talk all kinds of crazy shit, just join under this video or other videos on the YouTube channel, or go and join the Patreon or Subscribe Star. It'll be live over there too. I love you guys to death. I will see you on Thursday for the show with AJ Fisher. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just landed in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just landed in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just landed in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Good, nothing I mean, you know it. No product theaters cause it closed for COVID.